Hello! Hello, happy Monday, everyone. It feels like it's been a long while since I've done a stream. And honestly, it probably has been because I think that they did the December, January stream in really early January, and now we're mid-late February, so it's probably been a little bit of time since I have officially popped on. And yeah, tonight we are gonna dye some yarn, and I'm very, very excited. But hello everyone, I am Rebecca from ChemKnits, and welcome to the February 2022 ChemKnits Dye-Along live stream. Every month I pick a new inspiration photo, and this month I picked this cool glacier that I have no idea the size of scale, but I was really drawn to the icy blues with some hints of green in there, and that really excited me, and so I thought it would be fitting for a, well, yo-yo cold and warm winter that we're having. And so we'll use this photo to dye some yarn tonight in this live stream. But this is a dye-along, so I'm inviting all of you at home to dye yarn, fabric, fiber along with me, inspired by the same photo. And then in about a month, when I share a recap from this dye-along showing my finished dry yarn, I'll also include a lot of your finished yarn and fiber and projects that you created inspired by this same photo. So if you would like to participate, just share your pictures on Instagram using the hashtag ChemKnitsDyeAlong, or look for this photo, which is pinned on the ChemKnits Facebook page. I should also have a link to that in the, yes, I believe that that's linked in the video description as well, so you can find it really easily. And you can share it as a photo comment on the inspiration photo post on the public ChemKnits Facebook page. And yes, please double check you're subscribed, give the video a thumbs up, and yeah, turn on notifications, smash that bell. Thank you, Beth. But yeah, I am very, very excited, and I feel like I'm gonna let the colors really decide what they want to become today. I have pulled a number of different blues, and again, some like teals and things that lean a little bit more green. Even, I forget if I have a gray or black up there as well, in case I want to make things feel a little bit less bright. But we do have some bright blues in this picture that are rather lovely. And so, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of white in here. I don't know if I will be leaving white in my yarn or not. Certainly, you are welcome to leave white in your yarn. You are welcome to be inspired just by that gorgeous gradient in the water. You can take, or you could go from like the wispy clouds in the sky. You don't have to use the entire photo, and it's okay if things don't match. Sometimes in my like attempts with these dye-along photos, I get something where I'm like, I nailed it. That looks like the photo, you see it. Other times, maybe I don't nail the colors perfectly, but at least like I used a technique and a color palette inspired by it that maybe I wouldn't have done otherwise. And so that is really fun. And I really, really enjoy it. Why did this switch back to? All right. And so I do have my iPad monitor that I will be using. So if something happens with the audio during the stream, or if one of the cameras freezes, please go ahead and let me know in the chat, and I will try to be checking that throughout the process. We are going to be using dry dye powders today, so when I'm dyeing the yarn, I will be wearing a respirator mask, safety glasses, and gloves, and my voice will be more muffled when I'm doing that. Sometimes I start in the masks, try to project a little too much, which might make my voice even fuzzier, so if I'm doing that, let me know. And yeah, I think that that is about it for the start of things. Let's see. Okay, we can't even really see all the colors I pulled. I will show you. Oh, actually, we kind of can. I pulled a bunch of blues and some teals and more green colors to play around with. And I don't know if I'm going to use all of these in the finished yarn, but at least it's my starting place. And yeah, I can always grab more yarn if I need to, but I have 2 different yarn bases pulled right now. I have some Stroll Glimmer, which is, did not save a band. As I quickly Googled to look it up. Stroll Glimmer is 70% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 5% stellina, and I am also going to be using Knit Picks Swish DK, which is 100% superwash merino. And I am a Knit Picks affiliate. This video is not sponsored, and I'm just realizing that I can link the bare yarn bases in the video description because I forgot to do that. But you can go and check it out, and obviously you don't have to use my links, but if you do, then I get credit for the sale. I guess I have Stroll linked, but I didn't even pull Stroll. We're going to start with Swish because I think that the Glimmer is the one I want to do as the main, and I'm going to use the Swish to help me figure out the blues. And I mean, we may do the same thing on both of them or not. I'm really going to let the colors sort of speak to me as we apply it to the yarn. I do also have my stovetop camera, even though I'm big there, set up. So when I think I'm going to set things up on the counter at first, and then we can move it to the stove. So I do have both of those. Okay, I think my streaming software froze for a second, but I think I'm back. It made a sound, and I'm like, oh no. Okay, so all of the tools and equipment I am using are dedicated for dyeing yarn and are not used for the preparation of food. I even try to make sure that when I get like dye tongs and spoons and things, that I get deliberately a different color than things that I might otherwise have in my kitchen to make it really obvious which are which. Not that I ever mix it up, but so that way someone in my family wouldn't, I don't know why they'd grab tongs out of the mudroom, but you know, I try to make sure things are visually distinct in addition to being physically separated. You got buffering? No, the OBS disconnected for me briefly, but I'm back. And I'm gonna check the audio. You got buffering? No. Okay, it's working. It's working. All right, let's go to the counter and see what we've got. See what I've pulled for today. And actually, I can turn on. No, I can't. Maybe I can transfer image and existing February. Will this be this? Yes, this is this February. There was a chance it would have been last February. Okay. The only problem with this setup is that there is a bit of a delay. So when I'm trying to move things around up here, I don't see it until a little bit later. But okay, let me move these guys further back. Oh yeah, I heard that the UK is getting some like blistery cold weather right now. All right, so the colors that I have pulled are Sea Spray, which leans a little bit green. Like a lot of the colors in this picture are blue with like the smallest hint of green. They're all very warm blue. So I grabbed some Sea Spray, which is a tricky color because I believe it's been reformulated and some batches of that one can vary. I've got Frozen Blue, which is a bit neon when used at higher amounts, but less neon when it's not used as much. Sapphire Blue, just in case I want a true blue. I've got Indigo Blue, which I want to use. Alpine Blue. Some Silver Gray, in case I want to mute things. Bright Aqua might be a little bit too green, but in combination with some of these other tones may help bring us to some of those more teal notes. And then I have Teal Green, which is a saturated teal color. And so that is the palette that we may or may not play with today. But I think I may have a few other blues. I'm going to take a picture for the recap. I may have a couple other blues off camera as well. 55 and sunny. Yeah, in Massachusetts today it was about 55 and sunny. It was gorgeous. But yesterday it was like 19 with like galish winds. And so that was really, really cold. All right. Yeah, Julia, I'm excited to see what I come up with as well. And so I think I want to start with like a cold prep for the first colorway. And then again, if I need to, I'll grab more yarn, yada, yada, yada. But the one like hesitation is some acid dye colors, when things are cold, even if there's acid, when you apply dry powder and then sort of press the color in, the colors disappear. And so hyacinth is one of these colors. It's a beautiful purple, but it can disappear. And there's a video that, well, I haven't edited yet. It's sort of available in the last minute lab partner option. There's a video that I did and I kept adding more and more and more of it because I'm like, I'm pretty sure that this pops out, but it's looking rather muted. And then I put it on the heat and I was like, oh, there it is. I believe Chinese red does that as well, and a few other colors. So some things we may do if we see the powder and I tap it in and it disappears, we might get a punch of that later on. So, all right, let's see. Let's bring in some yarn. Now, one other thing I think is worth noting right now, this is the Swish DK, which is mostly wet, reasonably wet, but I want to show the color of the Stroll Glimmer next to it because, yes, I don't know if it'll show on camera. I think it does. Our Stroll Glimmer looks a lot whiter than our Swish DK, which looks a lot more yellow right here. And that's in part because of the silver Selena. That silver sort of woven through kind of makes it a little bit appear a little bit more white. It's possible that the merino itself is a different color as well, but I think that this would feel a little bit more white than, say, just bare Stroll. We may still see some from today. So let's see. I really need to get, I've been meaning to get some pans that has both holes so I can use the pans as a steamer setup, which would actually be awesome. That would give like a ton of space to spread things out. I did some like Cool That stuff and had some color transfer, like more color transfer than I usually see. And so I was like, oh man, but we'll figure it out. I definitely, depending on how timing goes and how tired I get, blanks are something that I could see myself grabbing. And let's see. Okay, I want where's my favorite spoon? This is my favorite spoon. Got it from Dollar Tree. All right, I'm gonna put my mask on now. And my glasses. This is my P100 respirator mask. And so I am now more muffled. Please let me know if the audio is good or if I need to speak up. I'm trying to see if I project way too much. I think then there's a lot of echo within the mask. So, did any blanks right now? Ah, different color, right? Oh, nice. All right, and my safety glasses. Oh, and I need, well, I have it on, I'll leave it on. It's like I need water. Do I have? No. All right. Brought over about 8 cups of water. Let's see how much I added. Maybe like 4 to 5 cups. Actually, I'll put this back over here. Let's not put the water right next to my laptop. And let's add like 3 tablespoons of white vinegar. Audio's fine? Great, thank you. Oh man, maybe I'm getting old because I'm like, I can't read the text very well. Okay. So I'll definitely want to add more water at some point, but this is pretty good and is saturated enough. It would be fine under low heat. Now, what I don't have is a yarn mop. Oh, BJ Chadwick, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I'm looking for my turkey baster, which I should have more than one. I'm about to give up. Aha! Got it. This is another Dollar Tree purchase. I like to use this sometimes if I just want to add more water at the edges. And I am now, okay, making sure the camera doesn't freeze. All right, so I've got my turkey baster. And this is the moment where I'm like, I think I do want a yarn mop, but I need to go find some yarn. So pardon me. It's like the moment where I'm like, oh, what else can I use? Okay, I found a skein of stroll. And I'll quickly dunk it. Eek. So I like to use yarn to wipe dye off of my gloved fingers onto, because I think it makes just like a fun, interesting colorway on its own. Plus, it means I don't leave any dye behind. Okay. I dunked it into the pre-soak, and this is how I'm going to add some acid to it. Hello and welcome, everyone. This is me improvising. I'm going to squeeze out most of the liquid. Okay, and we're going to get this guy a pan. Now these aluminum pans eventually do get holes in them from the acid, but I reuse them a lot and then they're recyclable, so that is pretty nice. Okay, let me see. That's not that bad. Let me move you up. Okay, then I can see everything. That's pretty good. Okay. Glasses back down. And yeah, feel free, since we are live right now, feel free to ask any questions. I will do my best. Now, the one thing that is important when playing with dry powders is that you want your gloves to be dry when they go into the container. That is really, really important. So let's see what color Sea Spray wants to be today. Adding a little bit. Sea Spray ultimately is fairly green, but, and may also be one, well, I added like a tiny amount. So that green, it's a little bit too green, but it could be a little bit of that can shift a blue in the more green direction, which, for example, are frozen, and I'm adding like a little bit to each of our skeins just to, like, if we even decide not to use more of some colors, then we just have it on each of them, and it'll make them a little bit more similar. So the frozen, I mean, it's one of my favorite blues. It's pretty good. It's a little bit too cool. All right, the sapphire I am saving. I may not use that. The bright aqua is going to be too bright. But the thing is, when you layer bright things on top of less bright things, sometimes, ooh, actually, this, again, it's a little bit bright, but this might be a better choice than frozen, because, so this is the bright aqua. It is a little bit, it's definitely warmer than the frozen that we have over there. And so, and even pastel, the frozen's a little bit better. But we'll see. I'm totally not writing this down, which I may regret. You really feel the Sea Spray? Yeah, I mean, the Sea Spray really light could be good. Okay, this is Alpine Blue, which is going to be the most blue of everything we've tried yet, and may disappear a little bit and pop back out later, so I'm going to need to be careful. But we'll see. I haven't used very much dye yet, so I'm just going to have to keep all that in mind. So that's giving a lot of the good blues. Okay, I think frozen is out. Bright aqua and alpine blue are in. Let's do indigo. Which is going to be a nice deep blue. But we can also see how it spreads out. But indigo, from when we used it in stock solutions, it spread a lot. But see how, oof, it might be a hair dusty, but adding some of that dusty blue all over, actually part of the dustiness feels like it goes with the alpine, like a tad. And then let's do our teal green. Oof. I don't like these taller bottles. It's harder to get my fingers in. But yeah, these are the ocean depths. Yeah, so I think the main colors, well, we'll see what happens as we start layering them. See, that gives us like a nice deep. I think it's like not as saturated as forest green, but it's still really, really nice. So, oh, and I totally added someone over there. Okay, so let me see. I think I should grab a quick photo. Do I want? I mean, while I'm here, I may as well just look at the sapphire blue because I'm here. Oh, it's probably from unscrewing the lid. One of them got some of the powder down, but that's fine. We're gonna like more randomly layer everything. Because who knows, I might decide I like the sapphire a little bit more than the indigo. Again, I did not use very much. The sapphire is deepening a bit. Okay, it was light and is deepening. We'll see how far that goes. I could heat this up right now, but I kind of just want to play. And sometimes it's easier, a little easier to play while things are cold. And in that, I mean that things aren't going to set nearly as quickly, which will allow me to spread things out a little bit more. So, okay. Okay. So, ooh, okay, maybe I'm gonna quickly pop in front of the camera and take a look at this on screen where I can see the inspiration photo bigger. And then I can read comments easier. Let me see. Counter. Okay, I want to make this bigger just for a minute. Yeah, that sea spray is a little bit bright, but I think that range, like under here, used with the right proportions, will do a good job for what I want. So it gets messy. So let me see. You're curious why I went alpine instead of baby blue eyes? I mean, baby blue eyes, you know, they're so similar in many ways that that I like waffle back and forth. But I think ultimately, let me see if I can find the photo that helped me decide which one to use. Hold on, documents, color swatches. Now I just have to find the right one. There we go. Oh my goodness. That is, wait, where is it? Why don't I see it on the, oh my goodness. Okay, hold on. There we go. It wasn't showing up where I could fit the screen. Okay, so this is the image that made my decision of why I picked alpine blue over baby blue eyes. The baby blue eyes is a bit brighter, and while there is some brightness of the blue and intensity of the blue in the image, I went with the alpine blue because it's a hair more muted, and I felt that that fit with some of these colors a little bit more. And so layering with some of those other colors would help me get, excuse me, to where I wanted. So that's why I went with that. Do I have a restaurant store near me? Well, I found like a source online where I can have like a steam insert for one of the pans and lids, but we were working on trying to figure out like redoing like some shelving and stuff we have, because truly I am space limited especially when I have pans of things drying all over, like part of my kitchen under the window. And so we're trying to figure that out. Oh, right, we were going to check and see if there's space for the shelf to go that other way. But anyway, so I don't know about if there's a restaurant supply store nearby. I mean, there probably is, but I haven't checked. The aqua is a closer match to the blue around the ice. Yes, I think the bright aqua, it's a little bit too bright, but I think with like some of the other blue on top of it, it'll do a good job for that icy blue. I agree. I think that the frozen would need more green. And so the sea spray is something that I'd bring back in if, oh, you guys can't see my mouse right now. The sea spray is the third from the left on your screen right now. And so the sea spray, and I used only a tiny bit of that I might use instead of a gray, actually, if I need to deepen the bright aqua. So yeah, doing, especially when playing with dry powders, doing like crude swatches like this to figure out the colors can be really helpful when you're deciding where you want to go. And we're going to be like layering all these colors on top of one another in just a moment. But again, things can shift when you add heat. So you can always take things with a little bit of a grain of salt. But yeah, I'm excited. All right, let's hop to it. And by hop, I mean slowly meander and play with color. But yeah, if there's ever a time, and my respirator's going back on, if there's ever a time where leaving white behind is not a problem, that would be today, because there's white in the photo. But, if we get deep and dark, I'm not going to complain at all. Okay, so Sapphire, Frozen, Sea Spray, you're on deck. And let's do this. Let's do this. Let's go for some color. And what I'm doing right now is, I'm literally speckling powder on it. I will be rubbing it in, but it's okay if it has like a few minutes before I do that, because I'll do, instead of like one at a time, figured I'd do some of it like all at once. Do a bright aqua, and then we can always decide where we want more or less of these colors. But this was also get a little bit of mixing from adding them in all together. And that indigo definitely deepened over time. It took it a little bit of time to like develop, if that makes sense. So we're going to give some indigo over here. And this one's going more like randomly all over. There will absolutely be differences between these skeins. And apologies for the thumps and bumps that you will be hearing. I'm starting a little bit earlier before I, I do not usually stay up very late, so that's why I was like, ooh, it's like a holiday, I'll start a little bit earlier. So that means the kids are still awake. So, your screen is in focus? Wait. Patty, if the screen's not in focus, try checking your resolution. It's possible that the auto resolution is really low, and so if you increase the resolution, then maybe it'll look more in focus. You store your steamer tray right in your pan? Yes, but I have where to store pans is sometimes a challenge when it comes to my kitchen. Okay. I have now added color all over, and we're going to come and let it spread. And I'm just pressing down. It's okay if we end up with some speckles, but I'm also okay if we don't. Ooh, I'm already loving this. So this colorway is going to have some bonus colors in it because we swatched some of those other colors and hues, even though we are covering them up some. So that will give us some differences between our swish and some other colors we may see. But this is really, really, really cool. I need to take a picture. Oh dear. Okay. I need a photo. So on camera, I think you can see a lot of the green. I think that some of the blue is not showing up very well. Would be my stuff. Let me see. Okay. Let me now, I'm now going to flip and we'll see where we are on the other side. So, especially when I stream, I prefer working on my countertop versus the stove. I think that the camera, as many of you may now know, the camera I use over on the stove sometimes is a little bit tired and is more finicky. Probably because it's been by the stove. But actually, if I press right now, see how clear a lot of that color is? So a lot of the color is looking a bit clear. Some of it may start setting right away, but there's also still a chance to move things around. So we are going to get started. Yeah, the randomizing, like, I really, really like having random color placement a lot. But having things, oh my gosh, having things spaced out in the pan or like scrunched up in the pan also does help with that randomization. So there is that. And oh good, the yarn mop is still on camera for you all. So this is going to fit. We're going to have our white over here. And I mean, part of me, I suppose you could hold this double and work with one of these. Part of me wishes that I had, Part of me wishes that I had had it with swish, but maybe if I need a second yarn mop, I'll grab some swish because, yeah. I went quickly with what I had on hand. But I just enjoy randomizing color placement, especially when they're all like related. It's just so fun. Okay, so I think I want a little bit less teal green. Oh yes, twisting them would also be a lot of fun. Little pops of teal green. I love this color. And it'll be interesting to see when, once we finish all the yarn, how things compare. For example, how does the other one, which this one had some more other random blues in it, how different will this one feel compared to the glimmer one that eventually we will do. And so the indigo, I'm distributing a little bit more randomly. Now, once we're on the stove, I can always add more color. There's nothing that prevents that. So that is also worth keeping in mind, that I don't think, I'm dyeing one side, I'm dyeing the other. I don't think I'm going to flip it inside out at this stage. I might wait until we've heated a little bit. So I want to let these colors do what they're going to do. And some, as much as I am a huge, deep saturated color fan, some amount of pastel is welcome. I feel like overall things are probably a little bit too green. I've gone pretty heavy with that bright aqua. So I think before we heat set, I am going to go in one more time with the baby blue eyes and bring some more of that color in. I feel like it needs it. Hello! Let's see. Oh, it's not baby blue eyes. Alpine blue. See, I'm already mixing them up. And just kind of going where I want a little bit more. But yeah, trying out this cold process version, because in theory, there's enough, there's a lot of water in here, but in theory I could take this and pop it in a steamer basket too at this stage. And then go and play with something else in this pan. So I'm always interested in ways that I can layer colors and play with things and do more than one set at a time. But this is really, really pretty. And so I am now going to take this over to the stove so I can start heating it up. And as for our yarn mop, I think I want to steam set this for a bit. So let me turn on this heat. Oh dear. Oh no, the heat's on. Okay. Oh dear, don't fall. Okay, I will be back to chat in a moment. Turning on my steamer basket to pop this mop on in. Because even if it's just a few minutes, that'll help some of those colors start to set. Okay. All right. Reduce that to low. I will bring you over by the stove in a moment. making up some water with vinegar. Ooh, to have on hand, and now I can switch you guys to the stove. This ball. Okay, and see that froze. There we go. There we go. Yes, I absolutely could have put more water in. I didn't want the colors to spread too much. I wanted there to be some softness, but I also wanted to maintain some amount of color separation in here, especially since I was starting cold. So what I'm doing right now is I've got some water and I added a few tablespoons of vinegar to it. And just by going around the edges, I am increasing the water level. Just so that way we can heat things without worrying about like burning or anything. So I'm going to reduce that heat. That one can be on higher. And let's set a timer for 10 minutes. Now, I like to be able to look at things, which is why I often don't cover. There is plenty of water in here right now, so that, yeah, I was just checking to make sure I could see my hands. There's plenty of water in here right now, so at the level of heat, we'll be fine for a bit. We aren't going to burn anything. But otherwise, if the water was lower, you could have it on low and cover it with even just some foil. Cool. Nope. There you go. Charge. Okay. And now I am coming down and there. Yeah, so this is feeling pretty good. It's maybe still a little bit green, but I'm really, really happy with it. Really happy with the color. It's something that I love. It's something that I would do again. And it's something that I could scale up if I needed to, which is something that I also like to experiment with. Because when I am dyeing colorways and I'm doing 3-4 flips, low immersion on the stove, I can spend, well over an hour on one pan of 3 skeins, which in the grand scheme of things, is fine. I enjoy the techniques that I do and I enjoy that. But if I want to dye 30 of a colorway, that gets a lot harder. So whenever I find a way that I can assembly line things with adding a steaming step, where then more yarn can be layered in a pot, that allows me to have something where, okay, if this is going to heat on the stove for, however long and then go into a steamer basket, it would allow me to set up that assembly line where I could just kind of keep going around, if that makes sense. Looks like a drone shot over the top of the inspiration photo. Oh, I love that. I love it. Yeah, you can see the pots of white. Actually, we just went to the, so Boston's Museum of Science has a really, really cool Arctic exploration exhibit right now. And they even have, so when you have a refrigerator unit or something, or you have a air conditioner that freezes and ices over and you get that iced condensation around the outside, there are walls in this exhibit that are ice from condensation. So there's a cooling unit inside and it's got this ice on the outside. And there are these places where there's handprints, because everyone, there's a handprint in the wall, an indentation, and so you go and you put your hand to it and then you notice that it's cold. But because everyone keeps putting their hand there, it melts a little bit and keeps the handprint going, and it's really, really, really cool. Wait, I missed something. Oh, your husband wanted the black hat. Yep. Black can be annoying to knit with. Because it's so dark, it can be hard to see. All right, I need to turn the steamer basket down. But yeah, it was our first time going to the museum in a really, really long time. Ooh, so I can see like there's still like ebb and flow of color in the pan, but things are softening, and that is really, really, really nice. And I am wanting a sip of water. Okay. And so other story time. You may notice that I have a fire extinguisher right here. That's not because I'm dyeing yarn, even though we do just keep a fire extinguisher in the kitchen. Not that this is necessarily even a forget which one this is used for. Yeah, I mean, this isn't, I wouldn't use this on a stove anyway, but yeah, it's because normally it lives under the sink. So we got one because we have a 3D printer, and so since it's effectively like an iron or like a hot glue gun almost, and it can be on for a long time, we have a fire extinguisher that we keep near it because it made sense, and they came as a 2-pack, I think, or something. For some reason we have 2. But normally this lives underneath the sink. But we had a flood. We had a flood. And so there was nothing under my sink. And so I'm sitting next to all of like, you know, the roll of garbage bags and all that stuff is all over here right now. It was relatively minor, but we had to replace the dishwasher. And so hopefully we will get our new dishwasher, which is currently here, but hopefully it'll be installed tomorrow morning, theoretically. So fingers crossed that that goes smoothly. But yeah, so that's why there's a like a fire extinguisher peeking there, because we've got like everything that goes under the sink is all along this wall right here. Use a headlamp for knitting with dark yarns. Ooh, that's a good idea. That's a really good idea. I got for Christmas for Keith like these finger flashlight gloves. I don't think it would quite work for knitting because I think it would be in the way, but it's for like if you're like working to screw something in like under a sink or something. Although I don't know if it actually came in handy today, but if you need to do that, and like sometimes it's hard to both do things and hold a flashlight at the same time, and so then you have the flashlight attached to your hand. But yeah, no, so we removed the old dishwasher, and we had a problem with whenever it would get below like in the teens or lower, like our dishwasher drain would freeze, or sometimes the intake to the dishwasher would freeze, and we couldn't figure out exactly why. And unlike the kitchen sink, which you can have on at a drip when it's really cold, the dishwasher you can't really do that. And so we're just like, what is happening? And then we noticed like water coming out, which thankfully like lots of fans going, like we caught it early. And I think since it's related to the dishwasher, it wasn't like a continuous leak. But like we take the dishwasher out and there's like a whole like piece of drywall just like missing behind it. So there's like, you can see the I guess like the sewer pipe where like stuff goes from the kitchen sink out of the house. And then like the wall of the house, and there's no like drywall in between it. And so like we patched that, and like I'm glad that we had some time in between removing the first one and installing the second, because that gave us some time for some like repairs. But like hopefully it's actually having like wall there may add some insulation, which hopefully then the new one won't freeze. So yeah. You don't mind crocheting with black yarn as much as knitting with it. You have an LED crochet hook set. Ooh. I think I knew that those existed. That like crochet, light up crochet hooks and needles and stuff existed. That's really, really cool. Really cool. So I'm looking at the yarn and looking at the picture. And right now I'm like, ooh, but the picture has more green in it. This is looking very blue. But I think in person, I'm now like checking. In person, I feel the green. I feel the greens here. It's funny how Wait, did it freeze? Oh no, I see steam. It's funny how I think that the stove camera is leaning more blue. I mean, I suppose I could fix the white balance. Here. Nah, let's just do auto. I'm like, sometimes it's hard, like, well, my stream setup, I've got the mouse on the floor, so it's awkward. Line up crochet hooks would be so nice. Thank you. I'm glad you like the colors. I'm like really excited, but yeah, it's funny how the colors look so different from camera to camera with the, I mean, I guess the lighting in my kitchen is different in different spots, but oh man. I mean, it's harder for the family for me to start streaming at like 6, but I like it better. I think going forward, I might move some more of the dialogue streams into the daytime, which I know is harder for a lot of people who work and stuff for the daytime, my time, but I realize that my brain works better in the daytime, and so therefore streaming is a little easier then. But let's go. I still see steam. Steam is good. But yeah, the dishwasher has been like a huge source of stress lately. Let me see. Look up LED neck reading light. Huh. All right, let's see how we're doing. Okay, I am seeing like a bit of some color, but like a bit. Ooh, there's some white, but again, Rebecca, some white is fine. Tongs. Aha. I'm so sad that these tongs are not super happy. Okay. I think I will want to add a little bit of color. I don't mind if there's white in general, but because, see how these are like a light stretch of pastel? That's not what I want. I want, if there's white, to have like more gaps and color in between. So I now need to decide what color I want to go in with. Well, this one actually might be pretty good. I'm thinking maybe bright aqua, actually. I'm gonna put on my respirator again, and I'm glad that this camera is rolling. Ooh. Okay, yarn mop. Oh, actually, I can leave you on. Okay, good. You're still on low. I'm gonna pop the yarn mop back into its little basket so I can use it. I suppose I could have used it over here, but yeah, we're good. All right, I'm gonna put my respirator back on so I will sound more muffled. Whew. There's hair stuck in my mask. Okay. Whew. Let's do some bright aqua. And I'm just going really lightly. And mostly over some of these lightest patches. And this is not that hot or steamy at all. The yarn mop is nice and oof. I mean, it's not that my house is cold or anything, but it is pleasantly warm. There. I mean, there's a randomness to our color placement, but there. It's really nice. Okay, and I think I'm going to do a tad of some indigo. I mean, actually, this would be lovely with just indigo speckles on it. Not that I think that that's what I want to do, because I don't, oh no, it froze. Okay, I see that the camera froze. I am going to spread out this color and then fix the camera, because I don't really want speckles. Sorry about that, everyone. Okay. Turn up the heat and then I will adjust the camera. Yes. It's because it's a different camera. Need to get the gloves off and wash my hands. Sorry, everyone. I think it's the steam. Okay. There we go. Oh dear. Okay. And I'm going to come in and add some more liquid. And I'm not just sticking to the edges. I don't mind some of these colors we just added spread out a little bit. I did turn up the heat and I will turn it back down. I'm curious how much some of this indigo will spread. I'm sort of intentionally adding water on top of that, letting some of those blues spread out. Okay. Okay, I set a timer for 10 minutes already. And then we'll check and see if we want to add some more. I probably could have flipped the yarn inside out while it was still cold without too much issue. I will probably try to do that with the sparkle when I start that. But I want to be done. I figured rather than going back and forth, let's be done with that one, and then we'll do the sparkle. Thank you so much. Yes, at least it froze on a shot that's like, oh, this is what we're doing today. Oh my gosh. Well, you know, it's funny because if you're listening more than watching, then, you know, it could show one thing versus another. But actually, while we have the timer going, I think that now is a good time for a brief commercial break. I think I'm going to take a little break and insert an ad, which you may or may not see. But I will be back really, really shortly. I can go back where we can see the stove. I just went and had some water. But yeah, hello. Whoa. It's probably very, very early in Sydney. Well, maybe not that early. I think it's like 17 hours. Although actually I don't know what time zone Sydney's in versus Brisbane. Because when I was in Brisbane, I think for a bit I was 16 hours from my family and sometimes 17 hours. Or maybe, I don't remember. Hello and welcome. What yarns do I use to dye? So right now in the pan, I have Knit Picks Swish DK, which is 100% superwash merino. Next up, I am going to be dyeing Knit Picks Stroll Glimmer, which is 70% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 5% stellina, I think. Plus or minus 5% from the nylon and merino, even though I did look that up earlier. And I don't think I have it up anymore. And so we are pretty close to done with our Swish versions, and so then we will dye a version on the Sparkle. It's a little bit after 11 a.m. Okay, so let's see, 12, so about 15 hours. No, 16 hours. 16 hours. I can math sometimes. Yeah, and so that's what we're doing. And the main colors that I'm using, which you cannot see because they are off camera, I'm using some indigo blue, some bright aqua, teal green, and alpine blue are the four main colors. But this colorway has some hints of some other colors because I just quickly took a look at a lot of, not all the blues, nowhere near all the blues that I have in my collection, but some that I was considering using, because sometimes I may have a feel for what colors I want, but the undertone from the dry powders might feel different from what I'm going for, and so then sometimes I change my mind. Brisbane is 1 hour behind Sydney because they don't have daylight savings, which would understand why it swapped a bit. Of course, I haven't been there for, it's 2022. I was there in 2000, from July through November, end of November 2004. So beginning of July to end of November. So yeah. Yeah, that's how long I was there. And so that was a very long time ago. It was before I met my husband. So a very, very, very long time ago. Actually, this week I met up with one of my high school teachers, and that was really, really cool to touch base. I didn't go to high school in Massachusetts, so it was extra cool to say hi to an old teacher. But yeah, when I'm yeah, the kids there who are graduating weren't born yet when I graduated, and that is frightening. Hello, welcome. Welcome. Oh man. Yeah, and so tonight there's not a lot of choose your own adventure. This, I will say, I a lot of times try to pick inspiration photos that challenge me. This one is kind of in my wheelhouse a bit. This is one that it wasn't necessarily. The only thing that was hard was that there were a lot of different things I could do with these colors, and so it was hard to decide where I wanted to go. But this one, when I saw the picture, when I was looking through wintry things and icy things, this one captured me, and so I knew I needed to use it. You recently subbed to my channel and started launching my videos. Yay! Oh, I'm glad you like how I teach. Thank you so much. Yeah, my approach to all this is very casual vlog style. Occasionally I do things that are much more tutorial, here are the steps, without a lot of my overthinking things a lot. But I know that I was so nervous when I started dyeing with commercial acid dyes because it was different from what I knew. I wasn't sure how easy or hard it would be. And so sort of cataloging the journey, when I go back and look at an older video, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so much more comfortable both in front of the camera, but also with these dyes now. And so And I found that like it helps me sometimes to go back and rewatch something to see how I did it and to remember the conditions I used. And so I hope that my tinkering and playing can help people feel more confident to either to try it out for themselves. And then occasionally I make mistakes. I made maybe on Friday, the ugliest yarn I think I have ever dyed in my entire life. And I am not going to over dye it because I'm curious if someone else may love it. Even though I'm like, this is not what I was going for. This didn't quite work. It almost worked. It was almost there. But I had too many ideas all in one yarn, and it's something that I may save for, like, if someone loves it and maybe wants it, then like I would let someone use it because maybe it would look really cool knit up. But otherwise I might then over dye it in a later video. But I want to see what people think because sorry, I wish I could turn it off from down here. Where? Oh, nope, there. I'm like, where am I? Because a lot of times colorways that I may love, may not like, someone else may love. But so I just remember like looking at this and being like, I can't tell if I like this or not. I don't know. Is this cool or is it really ugly? And it could be a little cool, but I still might call it the video like I dyed the ugliest yarn in the world. It just got, ooh, this is not the ugliest yarn in the world. And I'm glad that there's still some pastels. I don't know. I may, part of me is like, do I add more or do I just leave it? I'm tempted to just leave it. See, part of me looks at this and thinks, ooh, I want to go a little bit more, make things a little bit more saturated. But those pastel areas like really just work. Really, really work. So what I'm going to do here, and I may have accidentally put a little bit of soap in this, but I'm just going to add a little bit more water. Yeah, this isn't warm. Just to let things like float a little bit more. And this will heat for at least 20 more minutes. And in the meantime, I am going to remove my yarn mop, which I popped back in the steamer basket. And so it's not fully set yet, but I do want it to cool a bit before we start doing the sparkle colorway. Okay. Yes, we are good. Let me see. I see some good comments. Yeah, I used, how many different colors did I use? I used like 7 different colors. And so there's things that in theory could have worked, but like I was just, oh, did that freeze? I don't know. Okay. Oh, nope, I want 2 cameras. Nope. I'm like, oh, I want to be here. No here. No here. Okay. Let me see. Well, I'm not going to show you the ugly yarn now. It's going to be in a video. Like, I'm going to share what I did and probably insert a thing. But so what I'll say is, I was filming this for a lab partner video. And, you know, so I was making this for someone. And then I did it. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to redo the video for the lab partner. There's parts where I'm like, maybe it's almost cool. It almost works, but just doesn't quite. And like, I'm not going to send something that I don't love to one of my Dye Pot Weekly lab partners. I'm just not. So what I'm probably going to do is there's an element from the video that worked and was really, really cool. And so I'm going to do that with those colors in a Dye Pot Weekly video. And I'm going to have that video come out before the ugliest yarn I ever created, because I don't want the people who are waiting for me to do their lab partner videos to look at it and be like, ooh, I really don't like this. Is this what my video is based on? So I want the like good video to come out first. And then the lab partner one after. So it will definitely be a video. Like if I ever am doing a project and I scorch my yarn, there may not be footage of me scorching it because I will likely be dealing with the emergency of that, but I will share the outcome. There might not even be pictures of the yarn, so if I have to get it out of the house to toss it really fast, there might not be pictures, but there could be footage of me crying, I don't know. So that hasn't happened yet, but it could, it could. I like the heart technique. The heart technique is a lot of fun. Let me see. You dyed some yarn that you're not a fan of and you contemplated over dyeing, but my sister gave it to her mother-in-law and she loves it and is making a dog sweater out of it. And so that's exactly the thing. Like someone could see it and be like, oh, this would pair really, really well with this other skein I have. Like there's just like, there's two features that on their own are kind of cool. Combined just doesn't work. And I really could over dye it and make it work, but that doesn't fit with where the video was going. And so therefore I'm like, I'll see if someone likes it because maybe someone loves it, because I can't tell you how many times someone dyes their first yarn, isn't a huge fan, posts it and is like, oh, I know this is really ugly. And then so many people are like, I would happily knit with that, you know? And so I think a lot of times when you make something, you also get really deep into it. Or, I mean, objectively, people may look at this and be like, yeah, Rebecca, that's pretty ugly. I don't know what you were thinking. And so, yeah, I mean, mistakes were made. A Zoom dye session. Zoom dye session, the only thing is that would be pretty hard to manage, because I think it would be hard to dye and manage a Zoom at the same time unless I had like a moderator. But like I am interested in doing like trying to set up like a patron, like a Zoom on Patreon or something to like chat. But I think it would be more like a knit and chat type Zoom versus dye and chat, because it would be harder. I mean, people are welcome to dye yarn and chat, but it would be harder for me to set that up. Just like, I mean, I suppose I could, I don't know how many cameras and stuff I could use for Zoom. I think that's the issue. You try to once a week. You have one kitchen, yeah. You dye once a week. Oh, awesome. Yeah, but that's something that's been in my head, along with like the math live stream, which I have some more math videos coming up because I haven't done the math live stream yet, because I haven't figured out when, I actually now know Keith's schedule, so I know when I could use his office, so maybe I should do that soon. Yeah, so I am dyeing, there's a lot of questions about where people are dyeing the yarn, and I did not set a timer. And I'll get started over here in a minute, but I wanted to let this guy cool down a bit because I want to like set it on the counter and I don't want to melt the shower curtain. Thank you, Molly. Thank you. This is the yarn mop on screen right now. This is the yarn, which actually shows a lot more white. It has a bit more green to it. But that's the yarn, as I switch sides. So I probably dye yarn 3 to 4 days a week. It depends a lot week to week, because some weeks are much more editing heavy. But I also, in a given day, may do the filming for anywhere from 1 to 4 videos, depending on what I'm working on. And so, like, when we have a view of my stove, like a lot of times I'll film a video on my stove, but I'll also at the same time be doing something on my countertop that then goes in the steamer basket. And so I try to cycle things like that. So I like during those waiting steps, I'm doing another video. And so that's a bit how I do it. But also, because I'm filming, some things take longer because I'm explaining what I'm doing and thinking about like setting up shots and things like that. And so that takes a bit more time than if I was just going to dye the yarn, if that makes sense. Yeah, I have a hot plate burner that has two. So the hot plates take a really, really, really long time to heat up. Like whenever I try to do something outside and bring it to a boil, we eventually get there, but it takes a really, really long time, even when it's really hot out. And so now what I do with those hot plates is I often will boil water and bring it out to them, like from a kettle, and bring it out to the dye pot on the hot plate, so then it's starting out really hot. And then it can maintain the temp versus having it to like bring the heat up. But I also definitely have a hot plate that broke, and so I had another one. But yeah, Keith and I were just talking about like future plans and like getting me a better, like getting me out of the kitchen and seeing like what we could do for studio, like whether we would do something with this house or if we move or if, who knows what's even possible. But certainly I would love to have a dedicated space for dyeing yarn where I'm not transitioning back and forth between like a home and a home kitchen and a filming studio back and forth. And oh my gosh, if I could have a dedicated spot where like the only thing I needed to bring in for streaming was just the computer and not everything else. That's a dream for eventually. But like I don't make enough that I could rent space. And there are some elements that having the flexibility of working from home really add, especially with 2 kids in elementary school. But so that's something that I've definitely like considered. But I think like a lot of studio type spaces are either like way too big or expensive for what I need, or maybe don't have a stove. And so therefore like it wouldn't really work for what I need. Like I need a sink and a stove. And so yeah. Yeah, so we, and like our current, like where I currently live, we don't have space to like put up like a shed that like or like an outbuilding kind of thing or anything like that. In theory, we could like redo the garage to turn it into a studio, which I think is not a bad option, but then of course we wouldn't have a garage. So yeah, I just need I need the space to have heat is very important. And, I could use a portable air conditioner. Like I could get by with that and have it off while filming. So, yeah, I think my video about dyeing in, yeah, so I dye yarn in my kitchen, and you can see like I protect my counter with I use like a shower curtain because I can both wipe the shower curtain clean, but then I can sort of like fold it up and contain it and set it aside. All of the tools and equipment I have are definitely dedicated for dyeing and are stored separately from my things. And so like I don't use my microwave for dyeing yarn. That I use just for food. But the pots and pans I use on my stove, and then just use care, make sure that like, my dog isn't around if I'm using dye powders, and my kids aren't around if I'm doing dye powders. And I would say the only place where there's ever dye where also like another kind of dish might be is the sink. But like I don't have dirty dishes in the sink when I'm rinsing out anything with dye, and the sink is always like well rinsed. And anyway, like kitchen sinks are kind of gross, and so if a spoon falls in the sink, we're not going to use it unless we've washed it with soap and stuff anyway, because that's how we are. And so like I don't put my dye dishes through the dishwasher, and well, not that I have a dishwasher currently because it broke. Oh, that was not cool. It was mean dishwasher. Yes, and so oh, for I saw surgically Judy, and I was like, oh. Oh, I need to go reduce the temperature. Yeah, but I think that also like people's comfort levels and things vary. And so I go a bit based on manufacturer websites and things like that. And so no judgment if people are more strict with some things than what I am. But also like, I mean, please wear a respirator mask when you're dealing with dry dye powder. Protect your lungs. Please, please, please. So there's some things that I'm like, I understand people have different comfort levels, but there's some things that'll be like, you know, wear a mask. Wear a mask to protect yourself from the dye powders. But once they are in solution, like, you know, there's less of a concern. So I know a lot of people also who will mix their stock solutions outside and won't do that at home. I just know from wiping down the floors and things after dyeing that the dyes that I use do not move very far from where I'm using them. And maybe it's part of my lab training, but knock on wood, I've been very lucky and haven't had like any major spills or anything like that. But that's why I wear the protective equipment. I wear the glasses, I protect my eyes, I wear the respirator. So that way if something happens and like I trip and throw dye, it's not going to get in my eyes or in my mouth and things like that. So YouTube ad question. Do I benefit if you don't skip ad as soon as possible? So I'm not exactly sure how it works and like how long, like I believe that like certainly like if there's a video that's like, sometimes there's ads that are like 20 minutes long. I think that I would get the same credit as if you watch like, I don't know if it's 30 seconds, like it's a short period of time versus like the 20-minute ad. So like there is some credit for something popping up even if you skip it. I don't know much about those details though. Yeah, so basically when someone pays YouTube to run an ad, they set some kind of terms, and sometimes the terms are usually with the ads, sometimes there's the like text ones, and so then there's like the like if someone like clicks or something. But I think most ads these days are just from like watch time, and so being put in front of a viewer's eyes pays YouTube some amount of money, and they give the content creators some share of that revenue. So there is a split, and it's not well known to like I know what my metrics are. Like I can go see how much I make per view for a given video for a given day, and there's variety in there. But I think that like if you're like a really big creator, you get more, a bigger piece of that pie. So I don't know. Yeah, if an ad pops up for like I don't know what it is, but like you don't need to watch like a super long ad. I don't know if you skip an ad, like do one of those like, oh, after 5 seconds you can skip. Like I have no idea how the different ones do anything. Yeah, I mean, if I could have an area in the basement, I don't have a basement, but like when we look at say like, you know, when we daydream about building a house, I would have make basically a basement kitchen that, you know, in theory could be converted into like an in-law suite or something. And I'd make myself a studio with say like a concrete floor and just good ventilation in there, and that is my dream for like a future setup. Okay, wait, Sandy, I missed the playlist. When others have seen the playlist, do the video start and then after 30 seconds jump out? Oh, I don't know. I I don't know, because when I don't use YouTube on my TV very often, so yeah, but sometimes, yeah, sorry Sandy, I don't really know. But anyway, let's go start dyeing some more yarn. What am I doing? This one. There we go. I was like, I need to think about which camera I am using and doing. There we go. Okay, that is going well. What am I going to do with you? Guess I'll remove you. I'm just planning out. Okay, let's make some water with vinegar so that's ready to go. 1, 2, 3, let's do 4 tablespoons and 8 cups. Oh my gosh, my kids are being so loud. It is February break. It is February break. Oh, I don't even know if you guys can hear them or not. If not, then I suppose that's good. But I hear them. I didn't even promise. So sometimes I do video game tickets where like each ticket is worth 10 minutes of screen time that then they can use when they want, which I will probably reinstate that. And then we do different like, ooh, you can earn more tickets by like sorting all of the laundry, or we do things that aren't their normal chores. But it also keeps me from just letting them play video games all day during breaks. Okay. Oof. I don't know if you can see on camera. This yarn is super sparkly. Okay, this was 8 cups of water with 4 tablespoons of white vinegar, and I've added about half. I think there was a bit more water left in here than the other. Certainly, I could do less liquid, but I want to be able to spread these dyes out a bit, but not too much. You can hear them kind of. I was like, I don't know how much audio is getting picked up. I mean, they are literally right above my head. At one point, they had separate bedrooms, but then they could not be apart. I mean, E-Rider was like barely out of his crib, and we would put a pack and play in Lucas's room so they could have sleepovers. These are down here. We do a lot of Pokemon. Hey, sweetie, what's up?
I'm going to use the bathroom.
Okay, shut the door when you do it, please. No, the bathroom door, goof. And don't forget, people can hear everything you say. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay. And I do have a video where I intentionally build some stellina that is absolutely worth checking out. And basically the TLDR is vinegar is totally fine. So I want my hands to be really, really dry. And then let's do our bright aqua first. I'm going a little bit heavier, but I'm also going a little bit light in some areas. And so we're going to add the powder, and just like the other one, because I liked the overall effect, then we'll push it in. Some color may start striking now, and that is okay. We may end up with like a lot of coverage
in this yarn. This is the yarn mop that we used the last time as well. And I'm using it to just get the dye off of my fingertips. Oh, I'm glad you like the boys. They are mostly delightful. Don't get me wrong, I love my children, but you know, they try my patience. Oh, a lot. They're great kids, but oh my gosh. Vacations are challenging. Okay. That was some alpine blue. So those are our two brighter hues that I've got. And now I'm going to grab some indigo blue, and we're going to do smaller and lighter amounts here. In some places, spreading it out a lot to just really dampen the colors a bit. I'm now like, wait, did I use this exact palette? Or did I use a purple too? I have a sparkle speckle video, and I'm now like, this is reminding me of that. I don't think that this is the exact same palette. It may be close. I'll look that up in a moment. I don't think I used teal green. The second batch always looks better than the first. Well, this one also, there's like some differences between the second batch and the first as well. So, okay. And that is our teal green. Adding on to the yarn mop, checking for light areas, but knowing that I can always, it gets a little harder because I have steam set that partially already. It gets harder to know where we need to add more color. But now, and what I'm doing that's different today from like other days is that I'm not moving the colors through one at a time. I'm doing it all at once, which is allowing more blending in real time and allowing me to soften these colors a bit. But since the yarn can't stretch out all the way, it also is going to allow for some lighter and deeper things. And so, yeah, I would say that this is feeling, it's funny, this camera is showing up the greens a bit more, and the other camera, but not the blues as well. And the other one kind of does the opposite. Okay. So I'm now going to flip. Let's see. Ooh, soft links as yarn mops would be delightful. Absolutely delightful. And so we got some decent color penetration. And so what I do want to be careful of, since things are cool here, sorry. Okay, I'm going to turn off the heat on the stove. Okay, what I want to be careful of is that I do not want the colors to blend completely. And so if I move and squish everything too much, that definitely could start to happen. But that's why we don't have like a ton of water in here. And so the goal is to spread things out. Again, some lighter patches are totally fine. But if I do press, the water is relatively clear already. Iceberg ahead. vacations feel like another round of isolation? Maybe. It was a nice day, so we spent a lot of time outside. They just like, I mean, yeah, but they're definitely, we're not, if anything, since 2020, we are not as strict about bedtime as we used to be. I think that the yarn bases that make the most profit, that depends on how you do your pricing, probably. It depends on how you do your pricing and like which ones are the best sellers. Probably depends on a lot of factors as well. Because, you know, some dyers are known for like their self-striping yarn, and others are known for like different types of things. So I think that depends. I mean, certainly I dye the most Knit Pick Stroll, but that's not necessarily the cheapest 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon yarn on the market. But one of the reasons why I like it, and I use it a lot, is because it's easy for someone to go and get like just a little bit of it, and it makes it less intimidating for someone to like go shop there versus a website that just sells bare yarn. And so, because I was less intimidated when I went and got my first bare yarn from Knit Picks, and so long before I was an affiliate and earned commissions. And so that's a big reason why, even though I could get a bigger profit margin elsewhere, I make decisions because I think it will help other people who are learning and starting out. But it also depends on your volume, because Knit Picks has free shipping over $65, and like, whoa, that was really loud. Sorry, I can't fix that right now. And other websites have a higher minimum for free shipping, so it also depends on the amount of yarn or fiber that you dye. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I don't get a lot of chats on, I think that's Facebook. Ooh, this is turning so cool, having so many layers of color on it. I still need indigo. And then I'll be able to do a little transfer. I don't know if there's any Canadians here at the moment. There's definitely Canadians that watch. So, yeah, I mean, I know I have like on my website, like where to buy bare yarn. I think I have a few Canadian sources on there, but I haven't obviously ordered from any of them before, because that would be a lot more expensive for me. Okay. You forgot that there was vacation? Oh man. Well, like I have to plan my filming around it because I usually film while they're at school. But there are some things I'll be able to do this week. And who knows, Ryder might get mad if I film without him. But I actually have something that he could help with in the pipeline right now. It's funny because sometimes like he gets mad if I dye yarn without him, but then other times like he doesn't want to film. And I'm never going to make them film with me, you know? That's not what I want to do. Okay, so I think I want a bit more alpine blue, especially around the edges. Okay. Another thing you'll notice is that I never leave dye jars open. It may add more time, but I am very, very careful about that. So, open one at a time. Don't want to do anything that could risk making a mess. Okay. So here's what I'm going to need to do. I'm going to need to do some finagling. Let's see. Here is our water. I'm going to pop the yarn mop in the spare basket. And let's see, I am going to remove the other yarn from the dye bath. And that's not going to be on camera because just ease. But the dye bath is clear. Okay. Here is the yarn. Hopefully, oh no, did it freeze? No, I can see myself moving. Okay, I'm going to set this aside. Then I am going to take the first pan to the sink so I can wash it, and then transfer this guy to the stove. And then I'm going to swap you over. In just a moment. Okay. And then I can answer some questions, but okay. These gloves are going to need to dry. So eventually gloves get a little bit too sweaty, so I let them dry. I try to reuse them as much as I can. Okay, now I can swap the camera. Sorry about that. Let me see. Tennis ball. And deactivate and activate. There we go. Okay, let me see. And I'm going to come in and add some more water around the edges, which may cause some things to spread, but that is okay. And also in some of these darker patches, I can help the color spread a little bit if I want. But the goal is to make sure that we have enough liquid. Okay, I'm gonna reduce that. Set a timer for 10 minutes. Wash my hands. And I'll check the chat and then I'll come back and start cleaning up this. Let's see. To camera stove. There we go. Let me see. Did I mention when this year's summer mini skein or spring mini skein mini series sets will be available for pre-order? No. I tentatively the series will air in May,
the end of May, which means that I would be shipping towards the end of April. And so the announcement won't come that soon, but there's like one piece I'm waiting on. I'm waiting on word for when something might be shipped my way to make sure that will arrive in time, and or else I need to like reconfigure part of it. But let me see. Iceberg had. Okay, I do have some Canadian stuff out there, and yeah, Chester Wool is the same company as Wool to Die For. That's right. No, India's upstairs with Keith because whenever I'm gonna dye with dry powder, I make sure that he's not gonna be like nearby. He'll either be crated in another room down here or upstairs with Keith or something like that. And I try to keep him out of the room with like liquid dyes and stuff as well. Yes, for Wool to Die For, you do. Yeah, so Wool to Die For in general ends up being cheaper than Knit Picks once you do wholesale, even compared to Knit Picks bulk 20 packs. Let me go turn this down a little bit. But there is a wholesale discount, and yes, you have to have a 5 kilogram minimum order. There actually is a way to get an even bigger discount from Wool to Die For, but you have to. I forget, like, I'm not eligible for it. You have to order, like, an obscene, not obscene, but you have to order, like, such a huge volume. Trying to look. So I don't even know if they have it listed. Yeah, I don't remember. I was like looking to see because I think someone once mentioned that like if you order like a certain dollar amount a year that maybe that there's like additional like discount or something, but it like way more than the volume that I do. You'd have to be like do a lot. Yeah, so whenever yeah, so you have to get like 5 bags of 10. That's 5 kilograms, right? Yeah, 1 kilogram is 1 bag of 10. Yeah, but so sometimes it gets a little more confusing when I'm buying mini skeins because micro skeins come in a like 1/4 kilogram pack, and mini skeins that are 20 grams come in a 1/2 kilogram pack. And so sometimes I'm just like thinking like about doing a lot of fractions to make sure I hit my 5. And so sometimes, like, if there's something I want but don't need yet, I might wait and get that in another order to help hit the minimum. Oh, goodness. Where do I get most of my yarn? I would say I haven't done a comparison for volume per volume. Like, I order most of my yarn from Knit Picks and Wool to Die For currently. There are a few bases I really like from Dyer Supplier. I haven't placed an order in a while because I have had plenty after my last order, and also Dyer Supplier gave me a lot of yarn, and so then I had a lot of that I was working through for a really long time because like I've worked with them for various projects. But yeah, Knit Picks I order a lot from, and then Wool to Die For, like Wool to Die For has way more bare yarn bases than Knit Picks does, but there are some like staples from Knit Picks that I'm like, these are the first yarns that I ever started dyeing ever. And so that is something that like, it'll take a lot to get me to stop. And for a while when their bulk 20, Knit Picks bulk 20 packs weren't coming in plastic bags, I was like, okay, if one more order in a row comes with the bag opened up with the skeins loose in a box, I'm going to have to do something else because I cannot inventory yarn like this. Like I can't store yarn like this. It's not helpful. But it seems to have fixed itself, so that's coming better again. But it's possible I order more kilograms of yarn from Wool to Dye For because I get all of the mini skeins I use for my like Hanukkah and things like that. And I do like, what, for Hanukkah last year there were 1,000 some mini skeins that I dyed. It was a lot, and so like that adds up. Do mini skeins sell well? I mean, again, I think it depends on how you're doing your sets and things like that. Like when we can go to my shop. So like I don't dye mini skeins on their own a ton, but like I only have a couple of mini skein sets in my shop at any given time. Like whenever I do them, they tend to go pretty quickly. And so, you know, I think that depends. But the big things that I do that are probably some of my best sellers, I don't think I'm going to find it quickly. I was looking to be like, can I see the listing for Hanukkah? But I'd have to go back too far. And so, nope. There we go. And so I think that like, it depends, like, how things do. And so like the Hanukkah samplers I have sell well, but I don't often just sell mini skeins on their own unless they're in a set. So that depends. That depends a lot. But but I have a so Nomad Yarn recently sent me some of their bare yarn, and from when I've looked at their website in the past, I thought that they were like really expensive. But I think it's because the list price you see for each skein is the price of like one skein versus the price from a bag of 10 or 50, or sorry, 5 or 10. And so when you buy a bag, the price per skein isn't so bad. But in my video, I do talk about the pricing a little bit, at least of the bases that I'm trying out. And I will say, just, you know, spoiler alert, but my opinion of Nomad is that I tried 5 bases. 3 of them I'm mega pumped about, really, really excited because they're unique to things that I use, and I think that they're really cool and really pretty. One of them, Wool to Dye For, may have something that's really similar that I haven't tried that I'd want to try, but so that's something that I'm not doing for this video. I'd say that the Superwash Merino DK and the 75-25 stock yarn are both fine. Like, they didn't disappoint me, but I didn't like them more than the ones I use from Knit Picks. So I would happily knit with them, but I wouldn't switch suppliers because I like the ones that I'm using already more. And so that was just like a hard thing to say in the review, because I'm like, it's not like they're bad. They're just like, in comparison to what I'm using, I like what I'm using better, and that's my preference. But other people might have a different preference. So yeah, so that's sort of like the summary. But the pricing, I think, was not nearly as bad as I thought initially, looking at the website, because when you look at a skein, the price that it shows is like the individual price, the sample price, not the bag price. Yeah, but I'll even here, and then I'll pop back up to the stove. But let me show. What, Ryder? No, ask Lucas to get, oh. Hey, Lucas, go get Daddy. Go get Daddy. Brighter. Okay. Okay, Lucas, go now. Okay. I've not unskeined one yet, and that's not something I did for the video, so maybe I'll have to try it. So let's look at the okay, let's look at this. So like just looking at the Marshmallow Decay, I was like the skein price is $11.30. I'm like, okay, that's pretty pricey. But the pack price, you know, for a pack of 10, it's $7.90 per skein, which is more like in the realm of like the range that I often see. And so that's not like as bad, you know, so that's like more reasonable. And so that's, you know, there's a big jump in a lot of them. But so the price you see when you explore the yarn, you're looking at the you're looking at the price of that sample, not the price per skein in a pack. And so, yeah, that's something that I would recommend that, yeah. I wish that there was like a range, that they showed the range, so then you knew. I mean, our last name's Brown, so any assistance is a, yeah. I haven't ordered from Yarn Undyed. Oh, hi, Deborah. I spent a semester at UQ when I was in college. I lived at St. John's. And they called us, well, I won't say what they called us Americans, but yeah, S dot. But everyone was really sweet, and I loved it. So you can't tell where the skein begins, ends. Ooh. I'm trying to think if I have one of them down here. Okay, but that's good to know. That's something that I definitely didn't test, and I don't think I'll do it before. I mean, I'm at the very beginning stages of editing, but I am editing the video. So they take the two ends and tie them into a figure 8 instead of adding an additional tie at the start of the skein. Okay, so versus adding the tie and tying the ends together. Someone else maybe does that. I don't remember. I'm supposed to stand up and go to the stove. Oh, good. I see steam on the camera, so that means that that's working. But yeah, I could talk about yarn suppliers for a long time. But actually, if you want to learn more about... Wait, what? Well, oh, you're supposed to let me know before you bring him down. It's okay. He can go out. But I was about to do more powder stuff, so that's why you're supposed to let me know. Letting the dog out. So I will wait. Have you ever looked at to see if you use the same color palette for the sparkle? No, I didn't. Okay, I can do that now because I'm waiting. Because I'm like, oh no. Nope. Like, I'm going to YouTube. Let's see. Oh, because that was in the, when I tested dulling Selena on purpose.
This is the story of thread.
Why? Let's see. What did I use? Okay, no, I did not. These are technically very different. Okay, I can go to web browsing. Okay, in Dye Pot Weekly 344, which, I mean, fine, there's an ad there. I used Muck Green, Tornado Gray, Bright Aqua, so that one is the same, and Baby Blue Eyes. So it is a very, let me see if I can skip to the end without giving the ad that's playing for me, giving them a shout out. Okay, let's see. Okay, so here's the yarn. So there's a lot that is very similar. I ended up choosing Alpine Blue instead of Baby Blue Eyes because the Baby Blue Eyes is brighter. Do I have, ooh, where did I have that image? Here? Nope. No, I must have it here. That's not that image. No, that was the Valentine's Day. Oh, maybe two camera. There we go. See, the Baby Blue Eyes is brighter than Alpine Blue. So that's why I picked Alpine Blue for today. Because I felt like it went better with the inspiration photo. But, yeah, so over here, the colors, like the palette is, there's similarities here. But we're not using the gray, and yeah, so things are technically different. So all of a sudden I had like a deja vu moment. There are definitely similarities. Like this would go amazingly. If we were talking fades, this yarn would look great with the yarn I'm creating. So yeah, but I don't think. Oh, I do. I do have more of this. Not that it'll let me add to the cart. So Etsy has done something that's pretty annoying in that I can't see, oops, how many, like you have to add it to the cart and then you can adjust the number, but so it's not telling me right here how many I have available, which is sad because I would like to know. But let's go to the stove now. And let's go ahead and refresh the camera. There we go. Oh wait, there's more comments. You're scared you won't make that money back or profit. You've done a calculation that allows for profit margin and you have anxiety and worry that no one will like or buy your yarn. That is a really valid concern. And after I dye this next round, I can talk about that a little bit more. So, I mean, that's why, like, you know, it's hard because, like, my primary job, oh, I may need the mask back. Okay. Where did tongs go? Oh, over there. My primary job, I consider creating my videos to be my primary job. And then the Etsy shop is something that funds these videos. And so it's slightly different because like there's content and the item. And so that is, oh my God, this is so pretty. That is something just like a bit of a difference and something that makes a lot of my yarn, I think, fairly unique is that there aren't a lot of places where you will both, like, you can like see it get made and then buy the yarn that you watch get made, you know? And so, and I know that there are a lot of people that watch that want to dye yarn themselves, and so then they may not purchase from me, and that is absolutely okay. Like, I guess while I'm talking now, please, please, please subscribe. That is the absolute biggest way that you can help support my content is by subscribing, having notifications on. Oh, the camera froze. Haha. Yeah, and so, what was I going to say? So, so that, I know that that's something that makes me unique. And so I guess, like, figure out what your style is. Like, what is it about your process or your technique that makes what you do a little bit different from someone else? And maybe it's, you know, you take inspiration from, I don't know, let's say like all fish, you know, I don't know, you name them after various types of fish. Like that could be a thing. Did it freeze again? No. It's like as you watch me go back and forth and back and forth. And so, you know, or maybe like, I mean, there are dyers whose things are like neons and stuff. So, you know, maybe your thing is gradients or fade sets. And like when you have a thing that people will start to like come to you for, then that can help. But
yeah, so when I opened up my shop, like I had a revenue stream beyond the shop. And so that's why for me, and I'm wearing my respirator mask now. Things started different. Oh yeah, I purchased other dyers yarn too. Yeah. And I've now hit the point of the stream where I am contemplative and I'm not talking as I'm doing things. Sorry guys. I was like, la la la. Let's add the color. I did pop the yarn mop out, which I mean the yarn mop is looking amazing. And so each time like we add more heat to it, that really does help. Because each time I add more heat to the yarn mop, I can layer more color on, and that is handy. So this time I am focusing, and sorry if there's ever any scratching, on adding some color to areas that had more white showing, because I don't mind there being white, but I don't want large patches of white. Oh, thank you. Thank you. But yeah, again, like, you don't have to buy my yarn to support me. Subscribing on YouTube is the biggest way. Like, share the videos with a friend. That is the absolute biggest way. I have a Patreon, which like it starts at like $1 a month, and for that you can get early access to Dye-Pot PS, and then there's other perks at other levels. But I love creating this content and trying to, like, my goal is to eventually have all of my content be available for free. And so patrons get early access to new content, or sometimes a behind the scenes look at something that's coming. But the actual videos then are all available to everyone. Okay, I think I want a little bit of indigo. Just like a little bit. Oops, I went a little bit too heavy. That's okay. And that is all right. Going a little bit heavy, I can add some, well, I can take it and move it through a little bit. So I don't want speckles. Like if I had some speckles, it would be okay. But that's not like the goal. There's a bit up there that some colors had like a little bit of green. And to aid with some of this, where the colors maybe were a little bit deep, I'm going to add some water. And I'm okay if there are some darker patches, like that's not a problem. But I was like, oh, I'm only going to add a little bit, and then it went a little bit heavier than that. So I can just add some more water to help the colors spread. And I'm going to wait 10 minutes and we'll do another little flip. And oh no, did it freeze? Oh, sorry everyone. I'll unfreeze it in a second. I'm glad I haven't started to clean up yet because I forgot that I was going to add more color. Darn. Okay. I will unfreeze in a moment. I'm so sorry. Oh, hopefully I at least waited until, there we go. Hopefully I at least waited until I added the, I don't know, the indigo, but maybe not. Okay. Ooh, that's so pretty. This one may be saturated. The thing with adding dry powders is it's very easy to go very saturated. Here I am. Let me see. Oh, you found yarn at a thrift store. That's awesome. It's been fun watching my dad grow as a dye on a YouTube channel. Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, it's funny because I did a couple tutorials like early on, like a really long time ago, just knitting tutorials. And then like there was a website that was like, oh, can you make videos and like we'll post it on our channel and on your channel. And I was like, okay. And so then I started saying my name in them because I'm like, oh, if people want to find out more about me, then like they'll be like, ooh, what's ChemKnits? You know? So that's when I started the like, hi, this is Rebecca from ChemKnits and I'm here with, you know, and so I started that. And then, yeah, I started sharing some like dyeing stuff and like posting it. And then I realized like, oh, I can make money from like ads. And then, yeah, so when I started before starting my shop, I did a Kickstarter to help me get the materials for like my first dedicated dye pot and things like that. But also to know, like, do people want me to start posting videos every week? Like, is that something people want to see? And yeah, I guess it was something people wanted to see because here I am. I don't think episode 350 has come out yet, but it's edited, and which is just mind-boggling that I kickstarted 25 episodes of this series, and then there was a stretch goal to 35 episodes, and we're now at 10x that, which is incredible. You started watching me when I was dyeing with food coloring and Kool-Aid years and years ago. Yeah, I still do some a little, like every once in a while, I'll do some food coloring or Kool-Aid again. But I really, like, the reason why I don't use food coloring as often anymore is that the range of colors that are available with acid dyes is so much broader. So much broader. There's so many more blues. There's like colors that break still, but like break differently. And so there's just different, like I can have black and gray and things like that. And so it really expanded my ability to play with color, to switch to acid dyes. But I definitely, I don't think I have any food coloring things like in the queue at the moment, but I definitely will do more food coloring videos because I enjoy that. But yeah, and so I think that like when it comes to setting up your shop, like I think running the numbers and knowing what your break-even point is like something that's incredibly important. And don't forget when looking at your numbers, take into account everything from the cost of your yarn and dye to the cost of your gloves to zip ties and maybe there's other equipment that may like go bad or need replacing and like how that factors into it. Your labor, making sure that there's enough, like I consider like kind of lump labor into like the profit category, but when I price everything out, I make sure that what's left over is adequate amount for the amount of time I put into dyeing the yarn, if that makes sense. Because I'm the one doing it, so I'm not paying I'm paying myself, but I sort of just do it that way. But you need to consider your labor. You can consider water, electricity, or gas if you're using more of that for doing your projects. You should consider the shipping labels, the shipping bags or boxes that you're using, the things you use to label the yarn with the fiber content, printer ink. Some of it might only be like a couple cents per skein of yarn, but really factor in all these things because some of these other little things can add up if you're not paying attention to it. And so, yeah, so you want to pay attention to all of that. And then as you
I guess, get going, like start small and reinvest your profits back to get more supplies that you need. And so, yeah, I guess that's the other recommendation, is to like reinvest your profits into more materials and more dyes, so then you can create more colors. And so, like in my early dyeing videos, I dyed 2 or 3 grams of yarn at a time because I wanted to do as many videos or as many blog posts as I could with that one skein of yarn that I think I bought for $6, because, you know, I was like, oh man, I'm not gonna, you know, I was like, this is a, you know, I want this to stretch as far as possible. And then, you know, once, like, yeah, so that's sort of where I started. Downside of owning the house: water bill, trying to figure out how to collect rainwater. Surprisingly, even with me dyeing yarn, like, I mean, I suppose I could look at the history before I started dyeing as much yarn from when we moved in, but the water bill has not changed substantially. I think, like, doing a load of laundry uses so much more water than me, like, washing the yarn and dyeing the yarn, or if we're, like, playing outside with the sprinklers or something, that uses a lot of water. But yeah, otherwise, oh, I didn't set a timer. Otherwise, yeah, I'm not sure how much of an impact it actually had on the water bill, but I say this to, like, consider everything as you're trying to figure out if you can make it sustainable. And another thing that I can recommend when you're starting, like, a business is set a timeline for yourself and set a goal. Like, my goal is to be selling this number of skeins a month by the time I hit 9 months of doing this or whatnot. And so, you know, and or it's like, or knowing, like, how many skeins of yarn you need to sell a month to, like, support you. And so, like, and setting, like, goals and limits, so then, like, to know, like, that can help. Like, my sister-in-law is a lighting designer for theater. And so, like, when she decided to go freelance, she was like, okay, there is, like, a number that I need that is, like, equivalent to what I used to make when I was full-time at one theater versus working for myself as a designer. And, you know, if I'm going to give myself, I forget if it was like 1 or 2 years to try to do that. And if I can't hit that level of income in that span of time, then I'm going to go and get a job at a theater again or something. And so I think that that is something that can help. So yeah. For the money, make it a separate account that you use for materials. Nice. I haven't tried Pro Chem dyes yet, mainly because I don't have a lot of space for more dyes. Have I made yarn kits for make-alongs? I have not, but you should, if you, Naomi, you probably should contact the designer if you are going to be dyeing yarn to have as a kit with it, because I think that technically you can buy multiple copies of the pattern yourself to have with the kit, but if you are, I think, like, ethically, if you are going to be selling yarn specifically with as a kit for a particular pattern, then I think that it makes sense to have permission from the designer, because the designer may have been working in collaboration with a particular dyer, and there might be a business arrangement there. And so, yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, I think, like, some dyers may say, no, please don't do that, because they don't want you to market something off of their name. Other dyers may not mind and be like, yeah, like, absolutely, like, I don't mind. Or they may want to see the colors or something first. And so I think there's, like, a really big, ooh, the knit along I'm doing starts tomorrow. I gotta kick up the yarn. I gotta, like, well, I'll see the first clue, and then I dyed 6 colors, I need 4. I give myself options. Yeah, and so I think that for yeah, like a lot of the designers might reach out to dyers, or you can, like, if some designers may say, like, please don't contact me, so then don't contact them. But there might be some that, you know, sending a nice email and being like, hey, I'm a really huge fan of this pattern of yours. Like, I was wondering if I could, like, sell a kit or something for that. And so there are some dyers that will, not all of them, but that will wholesale their patterns, so you can buy copies of the patterns to include in kits. Like, the line, and this, because this isn't something I've dealt with before, but I think that, like, it's one thing to knit a sample out of your yarn of a project and hang that in your booth to show, like, this is how my yarn looks like in a shawl. Like, I don't think you necessarily need permission from a designer to do that, because there's a difference between doing that and then if someone was like, oh, what pattern is it, telling them what the pattern was and sending them to the designer. I think that is fine. There's a difference between that and saying, like, hey, there's this, okay, I'll use the what's this hat from ChemKnits. This is a kit for this baby hat. And then marketing it with, like, my name, you know? So there's like a difference there. Yes. And so marketing, I would say using social media is probably really important, especially if the way that you're selling your yarn is an online retailer. Then you need to get the word out. And so engaging and, like, sharing frequently on Instagram is a way to do it. Or you mentioned you have a YouTube channel, like, sharing some of the yarn that you've dyed, like maybe a video, and be like, hey, here's the yarn that I have in my shop. Maybe that's different from your other content, but just saying, like, hey, I have a shop. You can go and check it out here. This is some of the colorways I've created. And so sharing that can be a way to market it. And so, yeah, I would say if you are primarily selling at shows and selling in person, or wanting wholesale accounts with local yarn stores, then maybe social media isn't as important necessarily, but it could be. So, yeah, I mean, I have never done a show. I have never done a wholesale account. I don't do the volume that I could do a wholesale account. But again, like, my primary focus is YouTube. So, yeah, and so it's, you know, it's hard, and I think that there is, you know, some amount of luck into, like, you know, getting found and stuff. But, you know, I think marketing is important to try to, I would say, you know, make friends with designers. I don't really know. But I think that, you know, if you engage with other people on, like, Instagram or in other, like, social communities without being, like, you know, super self-promotive and things like that, then you get to know people, and so then that can help, and who knows. Patience is hard, yes. I will say I also have pretty extreme anxiety. I mean, you know, my main job is, okay, yes, I still have the timer going. My main job is sitting in my home talking to myself. I know I'm talking to all of you, but, oh no, wrong camera. I know I'm talking to all of you, but, you know, it's, I joke, like, you know, I'm a outgoing person, but I'm also a huge introvert. And so, like, having a job where I get to talk a lot, but I'm, like, also, like, can be in my, like, safe space, like, my home, is, like, really awesome. Which isn't to say, like, I would love to meet people someday. Like, I want to go to, like, shows and stuff, but I need to figure out, like, shows, travel is expensive. I hope to do, maybe, I guess at this stage, maybe I'm starting to think about 2023, but I hope to do some travel. Let's see. Hello. Yes. But a lot of but for mystery knit-alongs and stuff, a lot of times, sometimes designers will say like, hey, anyone who wants to can create kits for this. But other times they will work with specific dyers, and usually the kits that the dyers put together, the designer has said, yes, that will work for whatever they're doing. You do local shows, it can be hit or miss. Yeah, I mean, I can be like outgoing, but I can also be like really, really shy. Oh man, I do enjoy talking to people. It's like getting to the time of night where my brain is shutting down, and so I'm like, stove. Oh right, stove is tennis ball. And that is because I have a sticker of a tennis ball on that camera. Just reset it. Okay, I see it. Let's see. We'll do one more flip. See, there's some bits that are more pastel, but that is overall okay. I think I might break it up a tiny bit. Yeah, just a tiny bit. Okay, let's get my mask back on.
If this is going to be the last, okay, I think I'm going to do like a hair. There we go. Hair, more color. I can talk more about Etsy in a moment. Okay, I'm going to turn this up, add a bit more water, and I'm going to add the yarn back to the steamer basket. Okay. And I am going to do, I think, oh no, come on. You gotta be kidding me. Oh no, it didn't freeze.
It just looked like it froze. Oh goodness. Goodness me. Okay, I'm gonna clean up a little bit. And so I am going to just quickly pop in an ad break, which you may or may not see, but I will still be here talking to myself as I clean up the dyes and things like that. But I really love what I created tonight. So I have 4 boxes of Dharma dyes that I have. And like, I always sort the colors out before I put them downstairs. So I'm not going through as many bins. Okay, and I need to wipe down the counter. So I'm realizing a lot of times after these streams, I might leave stuff for morning, but hopefully we're gonna get a new dishwasher first thing. So I'm just wiping down the counter. I normally do that a couple of times because sometimes, like, while it's wet, you might then see like a speck of something, but there's pretty much nothing on my counter right now. Maybe like I found one little speck. So that is always wonderful. Okay. And that is on. You are on below. That is on. Cool. Cool. Okay. Let me pop my face up. Nope, that was that. Let me move. I want to be over here. There. You can still see the yarn, but it's not going to do anything. It's just going to be sitting there. So, and I want to see the chat. I wish I could. Can I zoom this in? No, I don't think so. Let's see, more introvert, nitrovert, love it. So you're nervous about Etsy shipping and stuff. Etsy actually makes shipping pretty easy and manageable. So Etsy is another thing, right? So I do enough volume that I could move off Etsy. I don't rely on Etsy search. I do get some people that find me through Etsy search, but they're searching for me. They're searching for ChemKnits Creations or ChemKnits. So, you know, and Etsy was like, oh, we did like this amount of like your traffic. And I'm like, yeah, but if they're searching for me on your website, you know, thanks for taking credit, Etsy, but you don't really get credit for that, right? But Etsy, like, there isn't like a monthly fee. There is a listing fee, but otherwise, like, you pay based on what you sell. Now, I know that I would like having the more control over Shopify and having my own site, but also like Etsy collects and pays sales tax for me in my state when it's applicable, and in other states due to like Nexus laws and stuff. And so otherwise, like, I might have to try to figure out some of that on my own. And so if I was just selling yarn online as an online retailer, if that was my primary job, I would have really pushed moving to my own website sooner. But since it's worth the extra fees that I might pay on Etsy to stay. And so eventually I will move, but priority-wise, it's been a lower priority because that's not, you know, my attention is on filming and creating videos. So therefore, that's where I try to spend more of my time. And I would say that with shipping, be generous with yourself with your shipping profiles. For example, I think I do 3 to 5 business days right now for most things. Some things are longer if it's more dyed to order. But I used to do 1 to 2 business days. But then when the pandemic started, I was like, I need to give myself a little bit more flexibility because with everyone at home, I can't necessarily run to the post office as easily. So I gave myself that flexibility, even though I tend to be a bit faster than that. I tried to add that flexibility for myself. The one thing I don't do that Etsy pushes really, really hard is I don't offer free shipping over $35. I can't afford that. I think that because like they're like, oh, raise the prices of your items so that way the shipping can be factored in. And like, it would be like, I would have, because yarn, like, there's a range of prices what people charge for a skein of stock yarn. But that range of prices does not go, like, it's not as big of a range as saying getting a custom pet painting, where they might range from $20 to a few $100s. Based on the like amount of detail, the skill of the painter, the size, and there's more variety in price. So therefore, adding on like a buffer for shipping is more reasonable. And so I think $35 is really, really low. So do I take orders as well as sell stock then? Not exactly. Let me see. Okay, so here is my shop, and Oh, okay, here's something. If you're going to offer a ball winding add-on service, notice this long run-on title. I get a lot of people that will just order this, and I even have images here. Requires purchase of yarn. Like, your order will be canceled if you only order this listing. Unfortunately, because it has my shop name in the title, I think sometimes like it pops up on Google or something, and so that's hard. So I don't do a lot of dyed to order. The one thing I do is I have lab partners, and so it's sort of like, I used to call them sponsors, but then I realized that it was confusing when it was an individual's sort of backing a video, like a patron, but since there's Patreon's a thing, I couldn't call it a patron. When someone's backing a video, getting shout outs in the video, but they're not selling anything, so therefore, like, this is not something for like commercial sponsorship, so I won't like shout out someone. Like, I've had some designers and small Etsy shops sponsor me in the past, and that's separate because this is for individuals. And just a name, not an Instagram handle or anything. But you know, they pick the yarn base that they want, and then I'll start filming a video. And so this is the closest I have to dyed to order, but the colors and stuff are still always a surprise. But occasionally people reach out and be like, hey, could you do like this like kind of thing? And I'm like, you know, like, can you do something inspired by like my grandmother's painting? Or can you, you know, do something? And sometimes I can, and sometimes I can't. And so it depends. But so that's something that I do, which is, I think, unique to me. But that occasionally I will do a dyed to order listing. I don't have any up right now. So the other times that I do, oh, and I'll just pop. Nope. There. That's where I want to be. Actually, I think my Etsy shop is pinned, but if anyone wants to go check it out, I'll pop it into the chat. Yeah, so I occasionally, like around sometimes a holiday or something, I might do something dyed to order. Like for Black Friday, I usually will have a special colorway for Black Friday, and well, around Black Friday, I like to do like a, you know, buy a skein of the special colorway, get a mystery skein of yarn for $10 as like a clearance thing, and it's just fun. Or you have the choice of getting a second skein. You don't have to get the second skein. But that one is a non-mystery, usually dyed to order. I'll usually have a certain number of dyed up already, and then if more people want it, then I open up a dyed to order listing with like a different timeline. But I do so many different colorways because of my videos and stuff that it would be really challenging for me to have a lot of different dyed to order options. But there are some people who have, like, you know, colorways, and they almost everything they do is dyed to order. And so they have recipes and they have colorways so people can pick the base, and then they'll dye, you know, if someone only wants one, maybe they'll dye a full batch, which maybe for them is 4, maybe it's 3. And so then they might have some ready to ship, but most of things are dyed to order. So it really does depend. Thank you. But yeah, so I do have one Etsy rant video because they made some changes to their advertising policy. Basically, the thing that frustrates me is someone searches on Google for the ChemKnits Creations Etsy shop. Etsy will sometimes have an ad that outcompetes the search results on there, and so then they then charge the sellers for that ad revenue, which is annoying. But thankfully that doesn't really ever happen. Most people who come to my shop to buy things come directly. And if you ever have clicked on like it, don't worry. Like, I don't want anyone to like feel bad about that or anything. But most of the things I've had that have come from ads are people who just buy the ball winding service. And I've had to do like a very like internet like title, which looks like, you know, you're adding a bunch of keywords for search engine optimization. But I'm trying to make it clear when I go and cancel the order because they didn't add yarn that I'm like, oh, see, unfortunately, your purchase of the listing ball winding service add-on, winding ChemKnits Creations yarn. You must also order yarn with this service. Requires the purchase of yarn. And so that is something that I have said a number of times. So yeah. Yeah, it was, thankfully, like, I think that the number of times, like, it leads to a sale for me is really, really low, thankfully. And so it's not an issue, but if it was a bigger issue, then I would have to, then I'm like, that's something that could push me off the platform. And so, you know, and like, if there are higher volume sellers who aren't really benefiting from Etsy search move off the platform, then like, that doesn't help them. But overall, the benefits of Etsy outweigh the risks, because one benefit of Etsy is the name recognition. So a lot of people have heard of Etsy and so therefore feel comfortable making a purchase there. Whereas like when, like, some people may have heard of Shopify, but it's like a back end. So when you go and like make a purchase, like maybe when you're checking out, you realize like, oh, this is powered by Shopify. They want to, like, they'll text me a code and I can enter in and they'll remember my payment information or something. But you know, you're not, that's like not in the URL or in the heading, and so that, you know, people may not be as sure if they're not familiar with who the person is, you know. So yeah, eventually I will search for and hire a web designer who can assist me when I have a better vision of what I want. So yes, and so you can do pre-orders or dyed to order, yes, when you have repeatable colorways. A lot of dyers, okay, so there's a question. I found that using vinegar works better than the citric acid in water for getting color to take. Is that the most preferred way to get the absorption? That's a great question. A lot of dyers vastly, vastly prefer citric acid to vinegar. I still use vinegar because that's what I started with. And again, since I'm trying to make dyeing yarn feel approachable and accessible, most people can go to the supermarket and grab vinegar, and it's harder for someone to just like go to the store and find citric acid. Sometimes you can find it, but it can be harder to find in person, which can then therefore be a little more intimidating. But a lot of customers don't like the smell of vinegar, and I don't think a lot of my yarn smells like vinegar because I wash it with soap, which isn't necessarily neutralizing it, but I don't find that it smells like vinegar after the fact. But I have been in booths before where the yarn smelled like vinegar, and so at the time I didn't dye as much, and so I didn't know as much as I do now. So a lot of people prefer, kids are like, I don't know what they're doing. A lot of people prefer citric acid for that reason. Citric acid also, weight by weight, is cheaper. So it's cheaper to buy, you know, 5 pounds of citric acid than it is to get the equivalent amount of vinegar for the same like acidity, if that makes sense. Because volume wise, like, you know, 1 tablespoon of citric acid, which is way more than you would need for a project, is equivalent to like 12 tablespoons of white vinegar. And so therefore you need so much more vinegar than you do citric acid. And so that's why like you can go through vinegar a lot faster. Yeah, I mean, maybe, excuse me. I'm not sure why your citric acid isn't working as well. Oh, so you made a gallon of your citric acid and you're using that. So maybe what you need is more citric acid. Maybe you need to make it a little more concentrated than what you did. So maybe you're not using as much citric acid. So. Right. So, I mean, you know, and I think that different dyers probably have different ways of rinsing yarn. And so there's different amounts of scent after, potentially. I don't really know. So yeah, and I mean, there are people that are sensitive to the scent. There's some people that don't like the scent of when you're dyeing yarn. I like it because sometimes I'm like, did I add vinegar in this cup? Okay, I did. Yeah, the citric acid for canning is that you can use that for dyeing, absolutely. The one thing is that food grade citric acid might be more expensive than like dyer's grade citric acid potentially. There are supply chain issues with citric acid right now, so the cost of it has gone up a lot in recent months. But again, I don't use the volume of it that like I have noticed that. The big thing that is tripled in expense, and I wonder if it's still that way. It's gloves. Yeah, I used to get like 100 gloves for like $11, and now a pack of 100 is, I mean, 33 is now not, ooh, I'm seeing some come down, but those aren't the kind that I like. But some of them are still, yeah, expensive. Like I'm now seeing the Kimberly Clark gloves I like. A pack of 300 is $83, which is now cheaper. Like that's cheaper than it was, so it's coming down. It's like only 20 some, no. What's 83 divided by 3? Okay, that's only $27 to $28 a box. That's cheaper than the like 33 to 45 that it was a bit. Yeah, I mean, I try to reuse gloves anyway, but I really try to do that more when the gloves became unavailable. Yeah, so my pH strips, I think, are way too old. They're probably, when did I get my PhD? In 2011. They could be older. So I think my pH strips are at least 10 years old, because when I did that video, and like as I was editing, I was like, wait a minute, these pH values seem way too high. Like this does not seem nearly as acidic as it should be for things to work. And when I looked it up, I'm like, yeah, the pH of vinegar is like way lower than what these are showing. So I think that the calibration on my pH strips is way off. And so if you notice that, maybe buy new strips, which actually I should do. I should do that. I am going to send myself an email. To do that first thing tomorrow. Ooh, something shipped to me. I don't know from who. Okay, to me. Order pH strips. Does anyone else send themselves an email to like remember things? And then normally I would do a schedule send, but since I didn't, I will snooze it until tomorrow morning. You have a pH meter. I technically have a pH meter, but you have to calibrate it. And so I was like, I'm not going to make up calibration like for the amount of how often I would use it. I'm not going to make calibration solutions up fresh and like, yeah. You test every dye bath, so you might get a meter. Yeah, if you're doing that frequently, then definitely get a meter. I'll have to test the meter I have at some point because like maybe it'll be fine. But really, like ultimately, like the relative pH is important. But sometimes, like especially when things are working weird, testing the pH is really helpful. Yeah, I mean with citric acid and with vinegar, there's not like there's like a limit. Like you don't, for safety reasons, you don't need a pH meter, but having one to check the pH to make sure it's the right pH for what you want the dyes and the yarn to do, that could be beneficial. Yeah, so wheat, I didn't notice how much citric acid that you were dissolving in the volume of water. In general, like you really don't need a lot of citric acid, but it's possible that you've diluted it in such a big water volume that then if you're using like tablespoons of that, like vinegar, that it's not gonna do as much of a difference. And I am reducing that. Okay, that's going, great. I'm like, what else do I need to clean up per morning? Like, I put the dyes away. I just have to be ready because I think, just that I'm getting a dishwasher. Okay, yeah, they're coming first thing in the morning. Oh shoot, that means I do need to wake up tomorrow. Can't be like, kids, let mama sleep in. The pH of your tap water is 8.4. Yeah, I mean, I can see why you would use citric acid over vinegar if like the vinegar isn't doing enough. Wow, that's high. But yeah, so my tap water definitely runs slightly acidic, and so therefore, like, I will get things to start striking with no acid at all. And so, yes, if the results that you get are ever different from the results that I get, that could be why. So checking the pH of your water would be very, very useful. But anyway, all right, I think I'm gonna start wrapping things up. Oh, thank you. I'm really proud of this yarn. I love it. I absolutely adore it. And I can hide my face for a minute so you can see. It's very, very pretty. And part of me would want to go in and like cover up all the light patches, but I know the light patches fit the image, and so it's like boogie. But yeah, so I still, there's like less than 10 minutes left on the timer, but honey, what's wrong? Then where are you going? Nothing. I think they're running upstairs to Daddy, who has lecture tomorrow and is doing lecture prep right now. Yours is over 8, but you mostly, oh, if you dye cotton, that's not a problem. Oh goodness. I think like, off the top of my head, I'm not sure. Yes, please try the colorway. It's a dye-along. Oh yeah, I should do my my wrapping up. So yeah, I dyed a version of yarn inspired by this gorgeous glacier image for the February ChemKnits dye-along. And if you want to dye along at home along with me, all you have to do is dye some yarn inspired by this photo, whether or not you do the same technique and colors that I did, or you can do your own spin on it. Both are, I invite you to copy me, but you are more than welcome to do your own spin, whether you do it on cotton or with food coloring, however you would like. Just share the yarn that you dyed on Instagram with the hashtag ChemKnits dye-along, or go to the ChemKnits Facebook page and find the inspiration photo and reply with a photo comment on there. And yeah, then I'll pull a bunch of the pictures to include in the recap that'll come out early to mid-March, usually like around the second week of March or so. But yeah, so there's that. Again, please subscribe, turn on notifications. Biggest way to support the channel. If you want yarn that I've dyed, go and check out the ChemKnits Creations Etsy shop. Or if you want to just support me in another way, I do have a Patreon, patreon.com/ChemKnits, and links to everything in social media and all of that jazz. You can find all that down in the video description. So, yay for dyeing along. I love this photo. I want to do like a gradient from like the water. That would be really pretty. But anyway, I'm tired. And I have a lot of dishes to wash now, which is unrelated to the dishwasher issue, but because I have dye dishes to wash because I need to make sure the sink is clear for when they come tomorrow. And I have no idea what kind of drama is going up with the children, but is everyone okay up there? Oh, Dad's with them. Okay. Oh, man. Oh, okay. That was in relation to pH. But anyway, thank you all so much for joining. This was a lot of fun. I realized like there was a period of time when I used to stream a lot, and I haven't been doing as much lately, and I miss it. And so I'm going to, I think, yeah, I've got ideas. So we'll see what comes. But anyway, thank you all so much. Thank you all so much for joining. I hope you have a wonderful evening. And if you have kids that are home for our February break, like me, good luck. There's a new episode of Die Pot Weekly in the morning, and I think you guys are all going to really, really like it. Good night, everyone. Bye.